Okay, hi guys. So, World's Strongest Man heats just finished yesterday. We're on a rest day, and tomorrow the finals begin. And to analyze this, I've got probably the leading expert in strongman, JF Caron. How
Thank
are you,
you.
Jeff?
I'm doing good, and you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm all good, thanks. Very good. So, yeah, it was good fun, the heat. So, you able to follow it at all? Obviously, none of us can actually watch it live, but are you somehow tracking what's going on?
Yes, of course. Gabriel and his twin brother Frederick was there. Unfortunately, Gabriel don't reach the final. And also for the weekend, I have few friends going there in RV for watching it because it's just like 12, 13 hours driving from Quebec City. And I will follow it on the distance, but it's fun to have the points on time and see what happened in every event. But with the social media, it's a lot easier than it was in the past.
Is it strange for you watching it and not being there after like virtually being there every year for a decade? Do you miss it or you enjoy just watching it or how do you actually feel?
Yeah, of course, I miss it. I miss it. It was my life for more than 10 years. I competed in Wrestling against men 11 times, and I plan to going back if my body can hold. I will try to come back at the end of the season and watching what I can do for next year. But I also enjoy just watching the young guns also coming to the contest and surprise the people. And it's funny to analyze and a lot easier than competing.
And as you're watching it, are you in your mind still thinking that you're going to be back there one day?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I think if my knees can follow, I will try a comeback like in the master division, just a lower level. But if I can, because for lifting heavy, I'm already there. It's all about moving now. I have to work on it, and I have to train differently, in my opinion. It's why I asked some help, for specialists for that. But I think it's possible. But still, I'm over 40. That I don't think I will win the World Strongest Man. It's not what I said today. But just have another run and be competitive. I think it will be fun, to have the experience one more time.
Yeah. And if we look at your peak years when you were against like Brian, Big Z, Thor, these guys at their best, would you say now the very top level has decreased? There's nobody as good as those, but overall the competition is better because there's lots of guys of the same standard. Is that fair?
I think the level is higher in terms of everybody is better.
Mm-hmm.
But the top guys now is hard to find. When Big Z was there, Brian was a fight against two guys, and we was just behind, and watching the show almost.
Yeah.
Competing with them, it is different because we have so dominant people. But now what we see since few years, okay, Tom have 2 good years, he went 2 times in a row, but he's not winning every show in the year.
Yeah.
It's not the domination like Big Z did or Brian or Thor. It is why I feel it different. Then it's no domination, and it looks like maybe Mitchell Hooper now with winning the Arnolds. If you win this weekend, it can be a kind of domination because looking just the qualification, he looked like he's a little bit higher than the pack.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we take 2016 to 2021, you never finished out of the top five in the final.
No.
And so you're best placed to tell us how you feel like today, rest day, going into the final. Are you nervous? Are you excited? Or is your body feeling beat up? What's it like?
No, I don't feel beat up. I was always very good trained, and good prepared. Then, competition, World Strongest Man contest for those athletes is like normal situation. It is comfort zone. We always train like that. We are prepared for that. We are not beat up. Maybe Rono and Brian a little bit beat up after this battle on Stone today. But tomorrow, Brian will be fresh. I'm not worried about that. But of course, we are nervous. Why? Because we make a new competition in our head. We're thinking about, that event, who is good, and we analyze too much. I think it's the hardest part. It's maybe better to don't know nothing. It's why I say I like don't know the group and still maybe don't know the events. will be really interesting because you have no stress. You have no idea who is in a group. You don't play with some situation. You will give your best. That's it. Then it's less stressful like you did this year, I think.
Yeah, and just concentrate on yourself and your own performance.
Yes.
Yeah. And on this rest day, do athletes tend to interact with each other, discuss what's coming up in the final, or do people tend to keep away from each other?
Yeah, but right now, World Strongest Men is a lot shorter, then it's not so much rest. You have filming today, photo with final shirt. You have to test the events in the yard, eat. You have an athlete meeting, the rules, and you have to start to compete tomorrow. Then you don't have so much time to think about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you ever had a situation where like nerves or kind of excitement the night before have meant you didn't get any sleep? Because obviously everyone's hoping to sleep well, but if
never. I always sleep like a baby in competition. Really, I like compete. Okay, we are a little bit nervous, but I'm a really relaxed man,
Yeah.
I just start, and still during the contest, almost everybody is very relaxed also.
Yeah.
We're joking, we're talking, and 2 minutes before going, we switch on. It's what we do like you're a professional athlete. Nobody isn't very alone in the corner. Everybody is really friendly, in that type of competition. When the whistle blow is the time to give your best. And that's what happened. And we don't apologize. We must cheering for each other, There's no big rivalry. It's not like, example, Brian and Thor was in the tent. It was different in that time. I think now is different, and it was really friendly in the last year also. When I was there, it is very good moments and good souvenir, for me. But I also remember the big rivalry, in the past between Big Z and Brian and Thor also in the pack. It was different, but now everybody look to together and cheering for everybody.
And just explain to people, because World's Strongest Man is pretty much like a film set, isn't it?
Yep.
Everything has to be based around timings and production as opposed to what's ideal for the athletes. So you guys have to get up around sort of 5 a.m., right? For like a 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock bus to the event. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's happening many times. And sometimes you have to wait. I remember a few times, I think it was in Botswana, we wake up at 4, going at the airport to pull the plane, because the plane must be arrived at 6 something, and we have to pull it. But finally the plane arrived at 8, and we just stayed there and doing nothing. But it was a horrible moment, but everybody had fun with that. It is same for everyone. But of course, it's not an easy day. You have to compete in 3 events, and it's very long. It's a lot of waiting. It's not like we compete, example, in a Giants Live contest or in the Ultimate Strongman. You have many events in a row. You have one kind of momentum. Then you always warming up and you go. Now you give a hit and you break, and almost sleeping, in the tent, waiting, and go again. Then it's very different. It's why few athletes compete and have better results in a full contest in a row. Example, I will say the shot classic. It is my favorite format, like 8 events, 2 days, very hard, very heavy, and we do all events inside 4 hours. Compared to World's Strongest Men, then few guys suit more with that one, and few guys are better in World's Strongest Men stuff.
Yeah. Is that because it's so start, stop, and sometimes they tell you, right, get ready, your event's in 20 minutes, and then something happens with the cameras and they say, oh, actually it's 1 hour. Obviously that's affecting your warm-up. Does that make you more fearful of injuries at World's Strongest Man because warm-ups get much
Yes,
harder?
I think it's harder to prepare for that thing. When TV is there, it's always more complicated, but I understand it's also a TV show. You have to deal with it. But I think also it's better and better. It was a lot worse in the past. I remember seeing few guys rapid for squat and ready to go, and finally the producer said, no, cut. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I have my suit, my wraps and stuff. Then they have to take it out and restart. But now they understand what's happening. And I think also the technology is better. Then they can cut many things anyway, then just film it, and we will arrange that after.
Yeah.
And it's easier with the camera in the recent competition than it was in 2008 and 2009. I remember that time.
Yeah.
Then
And
the athletes are very lucky now, trust me.
and the guys that haven't qualified for the final, obviously some of them will be massively disappointed, others of them will just be pleased to have competed. But do they come and join the guys in the finalists, or do they kind of stay away and it's just the group of finalists that are together?
No, right now in the previous year, maybe since 2019-20, everybody stay there and watching, because you know in the past the people not qualified leave.
Yeah.
You know, leave and just the finalists stay at the side. But now it is short, just on 1 week they do competition. But it's good to have people cheering for us, and the athlete not qualified a lot of time helping their friends, you know, competing in final. I think it's more interesting like that. I like it, really.
It's nice. And in the final, you talked about, you know, it would be your preference if like people didn't even know the events, you guys. But as you do know the events, is your strategy just to go absolute max in every event, or is there still some strategy if you know that you can't win an event to conserve a bit of energy?
I will say now, with the level of competition, you cannot save any energy, in my opinion. But I think in the past, it's possible. I don't think Brian have to push 100% in each event in 2013, I think. You know, but now everybody's very, very good. You know, everybody's very good prepared.
Yeah.
Then you have to push to your maximum, but you have also, depending what order you pass, if you're not last to go, you have to push to your maximum also. Of course, if you're the leader of the contest and you win many events, you have maybe this advantage. But right now, you remember the past contest, like the Arnold Classic. Sometimes you have always a new winner, mixing the points all the time. It's very different now.
Yeah, for sure. And what was your thoughts on the events? I quite liked it. It was kind of a throwback we're seeing this year to like Conan's wheel, the barrel deadlift, things like that. Are you pleased to see some of those old events, or?
You know, I'm not a big fan of Conan wheels. I will just say, but because it was a good event for me, but I saw too many injuries on that one.
I always remember Big Z's.
Yeah, Big Z, Christian Savoie in Canada broke both patella tendons on that. I remember because I'm second to go after him.
Oh God.
And, it was not my best performance, but I don't like this one. And in my opinion, that deadlift was too light also, you know. Then you have no idea who is the best deadlifter right now.
Yeah, it's
Everybody
true.
compete in deadlift.
Yeah.
Maybe the first start heavier, and you know everybody will broke somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough because it was straight after loading on the sand, and it didn't.
But you have still 3-4 hours to rest. Then it's nothing. You know, you're always fresh in each event almost in World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
But the loading was interesting. It testing the endurance of the guy. But I think now the guy with the best cardio for the final, it will be same, have a big advantage. You need more cardio than it was before, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised no injuries from the loading event. That's classically in World's Strongest Man, a bicep pops or something like that.
Yeah, true.
It was nice not to see that this time.
Yeah, good news.
And then we had the stone off. I think it makes good TV, but there's very few the more kind of hardcore strongman fans that like that event.
Yeah.
You see it too?
But I will say, after years and years of stone stuff, it will be boring. I never complain about that because I was good on stones and I never lose a stone off, okay? But it will be interesting to test something different.
Yeah.
One day than stones. It's always about stones. Then you know exactly, okay, because stones, example, in group 1, I will say the chance of Bobby Thompson to beat Tom, or almost 0%, you know. Okay, something can happen. You have always a chance in strongman. But for Bobby, it was loose. But example, if it's I don't know, if they add another events, it is a Viking press, or I would say anything, you have more chance.
Yeah.
Depending. It will be interesting to change. I remember also all World's Strongest Men. I remember 2012 example, we lift natural stones.
Yeah.
And we finished by the power stairs. It was a very great contest also. Then
unless your name is Lala.
Again, Bobby and Tom. Maybe Bobby is very good on natural stones. He beat Tom in stones in Arnold Classic last year. he have a chance. It will be funny to see something different one day.
Yeah. And you know what, Jay? If I combined all of the points, if the athletes were 30 versus 30, their performances, and if it was like that, Bobby Thompson would be in 5th place.
I know.
For the heat. So that tells you how much events and stone off affect the results versus where the guys are against each other, all versus all.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you. It's why I talk about Bobby right now. Because in my opinion, you want to know who is the best, put everybody together.
Yeah.
And compete in all events, and you have a lot more chance. I know Bobby will finish top 10.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that stuff, and now he's out of final.
Yeah.
And maybe other guys also in this situation. But he forces you to be like complete in every event. I think if you count the points, I will say Hooper must be first.
Yeah, he was first. Yeah.
First. It's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think Brian in particularly had the most brutal stone off? Do you think he'll be able to fully recover from that or not?
Oh, yes. For Brian, it was not super hard, I think. Brian is very tall, is very low, bar to put it. But Rono is totally destroyed for sure. He go to his limit, but, if I have to choose someone to fight stones, I will not choose Brian Shaw for sure, And Rono is an excellent stone lifter. Yeah. He gave a very good show. But I don't think it will affect Brian. Maybe cost him 1 rep on deadlift later, but I don't think he will just focus, and he knows it's his last chance, and he have chance. He will fight and not thinking too much, I think.
Yeah. What surprised you most in the heats? Any particular athletes? We had Schoen Winkel that won Brian's group, seemingly came out of nowhere. That was a shock.
Yeah, this guy from South Africa, Matt Ragg, was also excellent. I compete with Matt a few years ago in Australia on a class. It's not the same athlete, he improved a lot since at that time. Then I will say, because Hooper was there also, I don't know what they do in the pandemic, but they do something special in this country. But it's very, very impressive. And Pavlo continued to impress me. For the rest, it was not, a big surprise. Novikov was always solid.
Yeah.
Tom is there. I'm happy Evan go to final finally. For the first time, but I know he can have a good final. Is really good on some events. Then a great lineup, few surprise like every year. But he proved also the OSG competition is very good level, because now you have 2 podium finalists from OSG and World Strongest Man finals straight in the first year.
Yep.
And it's a good sign. And I saw those guys at, I will say, amateur level pushing really strong the pros, and the few big names drop out now.
Yeah.
The young guys are really solid.
Yeah. And I guess on the other side of the spectrum, probably the biggest surprise for people was Mateusz Kieliszkowski. People obviously expecting him to really challenge Mitchell in that group. A lot of people saying it's all over for Mateusz now. How do you assess that?
I'm not agree with that. Mateusz is just not in the best shape right now. You have some injury issue. He don't have a lot of time to prepare after his lat surgery. He's not full. It's like a 75% Mateusz right now, and 75% Mateusz was enough to finish second in Arnold Classic.
Exactly. Yeah.
That if this guy came back at 100%, he have always a chance to win. I have nothing more to say about that, and I believe this. He's just not in the best shape right now, and he show up anyway. And you say, he slowed down on the moving. I think he have some knee issue. Deadlift was not super good for Mateusz, but the rest normally is great, but he cannot push more, for now. Mm-hmm. But I think next year he will be very, very dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you look at the Arnold's, one of his worst events was log for reps. He would be favorite for that if he was in top shape.
Yeah. He's not top shape. Like he told me I'm 75-80%. But for the Arnold with those events, it was enough. He's always very good. And Mateusz always win events.
Yeah.
All the time. And still, he finished last on the, I don't know, on few events, he finished last, but he win the throwing.
Yeah, of all 30, he was the fastest. Only
Yeah,
Liam Bryan got
he
7 over.
won the throwing that he proved he's a world-class athlete. You know, he's another kind of athlete. You know, an exception. Is an exceptional athlete. Then he have always a chance. He will take the time to come back, but it's not finished. This guy is young also.
Mm-hmm.
If he want to win, he will win. Trust me.
I agree with you. Definitely do. So then, right, moving to the final tomorrow. It's kind of an old question now, but I think you're of the opinion as well. There should be more events in the final, ideally. Yeah.
Yes, I true because we don't get example this year. We don't test the grip, you know, and we don't test any type for strength sport. But I prefer more events for sure, and maybe testing max deadlifting. It will be interesting because you have reps. It will be reps again, and little bit boring. It's more interesting to watch, you know, for max lift. But the dumbbell would be first time they do it. It will be really interesting to watch. I think Alexi is the favorite to win, but you know, Brian was very good at big dumbbells also, and it will be a great battle. I expect something around 320, 330, something like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a nice event, and there's there's a few guys that are far better, far more technical than others on dumbbell, which seems to really help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who else, based on the heats or just your kind of opinions overall, do you see being the favorites now to win the final?
Okay, with what I saw, okay, I was not there. Then I don't. I analyze short video, but I will say Mitchell Hooper is the favorite now with what I saw. He will finish first or second, is my opinion. If nothing bad happened, okay. I will say Brian. Brian have very good events, and I think he will push hard. He feel great. He told me he feel great. His deadlift is back to full power, and I remember 2020 when he came second also, and he will be on that podium. And I will say Alexi, but I will say one Ukrainian guy on the podium. But I will take Alexi because I know Alexi was really good on truck pull, and he was also he will win the dumbbell. It's just why, but Pavlo have very good chance too. You know, if you have two Ukrainians on podium, I will not surprise.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I think for the final, and looks like Tom is not the best prepared. I think it was short. It was totally, you know, off at the Arnold. Looking okay for sure, it will be better for World's Strongest Man because he focused on that. But I think he was short in time a little bit. Maybe he need 1 month more to prepare, but he looks in the heat. He was not at his best. It's what I will take those three guys. Then Mitchell, Brian, and Olex.
Do you feel like, based on past, that shield carry could be crucial for Brian? It seems like one perhaps he could drop the points on, which he's got to avoid doing.
Yes, but I don't remember seeing Brian doing shield carry since long time.
Mm-hmm.
But in the past, he was excellent.
Yeah, it's just something with age. Maybe that makes it more difficult.
Yeah, true. But you know, never underestimate a big guy like this. You know, like carrying stuff for like Brian or Thor was always nothing. You know, in the past, and everybody struggled with that implement. But for them, it was easier because they have the size, they have the genetic. Then, if you really need to push, I think he can be dangerous. Okay, I think guy like Pavlo and Mitchell are very good cardio, very athletic, have maybe an advantage on that type of event. But if Brian do a good shield carry, and if the truck pull came to what he can do, like he was in the past, he win many times at World's Strongest Man, he have very, very good chance to win. The rest is excellent for him.
Yeah. And of course, people like Schoenwinkel, Rag aren't favorites to win, but they're guys that could really get in the way by getting into second, third positions and making splits in points, aren't they, between the favorites?
Yes, of course. I think it will be very close, you know, top 5. Yeah. And, you know, Schoenwinkel win the group. I will say when you win a group, you're supposed to finish top 5.
Yeah, true.
It's what I will say. Then I will not surprise if it's happening. And the point is mixing all time. The key will be to be consistent. And right now, what we saw during the season, Hooper was the most consistent guy, and he also looked really prepared. Then I think maybe we have a first Canadian for winning the title this year.
Mm-hmm. Are there any? We saw Gabriel there competing. Are there any more Canadians on the radar that we can expect to see? Hopefully.
Yeah, of course, you have a few good guys. I think we have 7, 8 guys to international level now in Canada. The next on the list will be Wesley Derwinski. Wesley compete in the past in the junior ultimate strongman U23. He have a great result there, but he's improving a lot. He's one of the favorite to win Canada's Strongest Man this year also. He's really solid. I hope he will have his chance in future to compete there. But you know, last year Gabriel beat him by just 1 point in CSM, and he's very athletic also. That type of new athletes coming like Mitchell Hooper and Pavlo Cordiaca, you know, the guys are incredible athlete in terms of endurance, cardiovascular speed, and this guy have the package also.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone you actually want to win? I mean, obviously you're good friends with Brian. Have you got particularly would like to see him win this, or?
Yes, of course. Of course, you know, me and Brian are friends since we met first time in 2007, you know, at the North American. It was our first international boat. You know, Brian came first tie with Jason Paulin in that contest, but he lose by comeback, like he lose World Strongest Man 2010. And I came 5th in that contest, I remember. And, you know, we are friends in no time, and I really wish him to win his 5th title. He deserves it. And I think he's in a good minding right now. He's really motivated more than what I saw in the past year. He's in good shape. And I wish him the best. And I will cheer for him. But, you know, when I have friends competing there, we are in contact on phone all the time. And I just wish him to achieve his goal. And I know this 5th title is very important for him. Then I wish him all the best to Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he deserves it so much based on more than one thing. Like you say, he lost one on countback. Some things I feel like have gone against him a bit unfairly. I think if anyone deserves it, it's Brian.
Yeah, it's true. He deserves, and he did a lot for the sport also. What he built right now with the short classic is something really huge. You know, he invests a lot in that time and money and many things, you know, and he don't need to do this. He just do it because he loves the sport, and you want to push him, you know, push the sport in the good direction and helping the US to have better show. And they just start in a small contest just for helping the athletes, because many of us, you know, not competing during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And now is one major show, and I will say the hardest show to win.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, Trey Mitchell does great at the Shore Classic, and he's another one we probably shouldn't write off in the final. They're pretty good events for Trey too.
Of course, maybe just the shield carry is not the best for Trey, but it's because I have no idea what is finger for him. Yeah. You know, because it's different even this year. I'm not sure, but if it's about just brute strength there, you know, and more maximum and very heavy event, Trey is very hard to beat. It's like a young Savikas.
Yeah, that's who he reminds me of so much.
Yeah. It's really strong. I think in terms of static strength is the best of all in final this year. You know, what he do at the Arnold Classic was quite impressive, you know, in terms of weight. And I think he can be good, and I'm really happy because Trey will compete in the North American Championship in Canada this year, and is by far the favorite to win it. Yeah.
It's like a classic final event as the Atlas Stones at World's Strongest Man, but do you think that it would be interesting to now mix that up and have a different last event at Worlds?
Of course. You know, I put 10 shows this year in Canada. 12 shows. We never put just stones every time. You know, we try to mix up and be different, because when it's always the same guy, you know, going in final, you have to test different things, I think.
Yeah.
It's why, you know, and if you're not super good on that, okay, it forces you to be better. But for a few guys, it is easier to be great, but it will be interesting to see something different. I will say put, I don't know, power stairs, or you know, you have all type of event we saw in the old Warsaw against men. It wasn't stones all the time. Then it will be interesting to change that event. I like stones, you know, it is good event for me, but it's always interesting to see something different and testing the events and testing the athletes differently,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Even from like the TV perspective, because they always have the stone off and then the Atlas stones at the end, they've got, seems to make sense to change one of those events.
Yeah, true. And still you test the same thing again. Yeah, and you know who will win the stones anyway. Then it's always like that, you know. It was the same that in the past, you know. Thor have always an advantage on stone, and Brian was same because they are taller. It was very great event for him. But if you change it for an overhead event or a carrying event, it is different. Then you give to other athletes a chance to prove they are also good, not just in always stones. Why is just stones not changing?
Yeah. Just briefly before actually we get to you and what's going on, Mateusz Bjornsson going for the powerlifting raw world record, and we've seen a terrible injury. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I saw. I was disappointed to see it, but I think Thor, you know, go it really quick. You know, he start to just light training to meet, you know, situation really fast. And you know, to be really strong in bench, you need to do bench heavy long time. I know what it is. I do a lot of powerlifting, and that tendon muscle need to be also you know, hard, you know, and prepare, you know, for that type of weight. But you know, sometimes injury happen, but he will recover from that. But I will say something: Thor will be in a better comfort zone in strongman than powerlifting. It will be much easier for him to come back to strongman. Maybe trying powerlifting before was a little bit mistake, because you know, when you tear a pec, sometimes you feel it long time after.
Yeah.
But if you want to came back to strongman, he will have a chance to win again. He proved he have the power again. You know, on the powerlifting lift, squat was solid, deadlift also. You know, he get injured at 250 kilo bench also, and it's a very big weight. I think if you really, and he was at 400 pounds, I think. Then he came back in body weight too, but it's easy for him, you know, to go back. You know, those guys with bigger genetic, it's easier to gain weight, gain strength. It will be interesting if he come back really for winning in strongman.
Yeah. Were you surprised how quickly he was getting strong again?
Yeah, I was surprised, but not so much, because I know it will be not super hard for him to come back at this level. You know, those guys, like, I will put Brian in that situation too. And Tom is also saying, because people say you have no chance in Warsaw against men after the Arnolds. But those guys have a superior genetic. They are 6'9", okay? They weigh over 400 pounds naturally. It's easy to come back very quick, you know. The body have a muscle memory also. Thor was a champion. You know, he lived 501 kilo in the past. It's not super hard to come back at 80% on that level for him. Now it's there, 80%.
Yeah.
You have to work now for gaining 100% what he can do. But, you know, the Arnold Classic was just in March, and Tom have a chance to win still this weekend. Trust me, he will not finish down top 5, for sure. I will say top 5. Then it's why it's easier for men of this stature. And this, and those guys was the best, you know, one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
You know, you cannot say this guy have no chance. No, I will not take the risk to say that, and he will be always dangerous. If you really want to win, I think it's possible. Very possible.
Yeah. So do you think Thor now is better going back to strongman straight away after this injury and then going back to powerlifting at the end?
Yes, of course. Of course, because it will be really hard to him to break the record in powerlifting, because the guy beating that, you know, is really specialized in just lifting heavy. That's it. But Thor have the athletic skills and the size to be good in strongman. He was good the first time he tried, finally.
Yeah.
Like Brian, it is same. then it's a lot easier, and his comfort zone is strongman. It's not powerlifting. He never been a powerlifting champion, but he was a strongman champion. It is different. It's like you have a boxer trying MMA. He was always more comfortable in boxing and stay stand up for fighting. It is the same thing. Then for Thor is more suit with strongman events, you know, because it's not just about brute strength, it's about athletic skills. It is different. And I will, if I can give an advice to him, I will say yes, go to strongman and prove it. You can do it again.
Yeah. Do you think him doing the boxing, losing all the weight, would be an advantage to him now or a disadvantage?
I think an advantage. It's not about losing weight. I will say about training his cardio very hard. I'm sure Thor have a better cardio now than when he do strongman. It's why I would say that.
Yeah. And Thor with even better conditioning and back to strength would be.
Yeah, yes. You know, if I have to compete against someone, I will choose another one if you want. Of course. You know, I saw Thor arriving in strongman, and I saw him competing and train also, and sometimes he do stuff like it was nothing for him.
Yeah.
It's very impressive to see this guy. I will always remember in 2013 in China, we have a world championship from Champions League. And we have two teams, like the red team, blue team. It was special stuff because it's for Chinese TV. But Thor was in my team with Zidronas. And it was anchored event. But Thor was the best guy there to do that type of stuff because he has the size and the agility. He very impressed me that time. I think it's the most impressive stuff I saw from somebody was there, because we have to do some team events and you know, anchor. So we have to build a pyramid with a washing machine, you know. But before it was very easy. I was on top, he'd take the washing machine and throw me on the top. Nobody can do this. But for him, it was normal situation. It was really great moment, but this guy really impressed me during those 2 weeks of competition.
Was that the year they made you wear the ridiculous costumes as well?
But 2012 was ridiculous costume also. Both years.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we wish Thor well. We both know him, both like him, and yeah, I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, I'm sure also.
Yeah. Okay, and then of course, importantly, on to you and your health and your plans. So, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm going well. The training going well. I have a very great week. I also train for grip contest right now. Then really interesting to see how I improve. But the plan is came back to end of season, because I will be fair with you, is because during that summer we have 12 events of strongman circuit in Canada, and I organize all those shows. Then I don't have a lot of time to train and prepare. But we finish in September. After that, I can train and, you know, come back. You know, the most important for me will be the Masters at OSG in December. I will have more time to train. But, you know, I can lift heavy, you know, in the gym. My press is good also. All is going well. I'm 340 pounds right now. The moving is the difficulty right now. You know, it's harder to walk with farmers. Explosion movement, you know, change in direction, you know, all those stuff you do normally now, it's dangerous. You know? Then I have to take time, and I need more time to prepare that. But now I think I can reach a good level again. You know, I feel I have more to give.
Are you nervous after such like a terrible injury?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. You know, I don't want to take the risk to get injured again, you know. I will be always nervous about lifting a log, but it's done. I did already, you know, and I train log in the gym. But of course you think about, you know, and the guy will say, no, I don't think about nothing after big injury. I think he's a liar. But you have to deal with that. But I just do it because I like it. And it's why I will test, and I will not just take less risk than it was in the past. Now I will compete for fun. I have no pressure. Then just to be part of the game one more time. But I know when the whistle will blow, I will give my best. I know him. I know myself. You know, we all competitor at the end.
Yeah.
and we want to win. But I think the fun is more important right now. You know, I miss friends also from competition, missing the traveling with all the gang,
Yeah.
the fun we have there. It's the memories you have after your career. It's not about the podium and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about, oh, you remember what we do in Dubai that year? You know, the party after. You know, we have fun. We visit that place.
Yeah.
That's that type of stuff stay longer than the result itself.
Yeah.
But if I can be part of few more again, it will be really interesting. But I don't put any pressure on me right now, and I just train because I like training.
I always think if I
train
could.
until I will buy it.
Yeah, yeah. I always think if I could turn the camera on at the parties after some of the strongman events,
Yeah,
YouTube, God, people would love it.
yeah. I think it will be a very funny TV show.
Yeah. What in like squat, deadlift, log press? How heavy have you gone in those so far?
Right now, my squat was 270. It's pretty comfortable for reps, you know, but still, you know, I need more time to recover. You know, knees is not like before. Deadlift was 400 kilo, no problem. You know, it was my best lift. You know, I do it without belt, you know, nothing, no stuff. It's not about back power. I just take the time to lift it, and I not go super explosive, but lifting, you know, no problem. Overhead, this week I do like strict press with 150.
Okay.
Then it was like almost 90% of my weight I did before. You know, of course, for doing more, you need more training. Now I just go at the gym like normal people. You know, we got 1 hour 30, 2 hours after the job, and it's very different than training full time in strongman. But still, you know, my lift is still there, and I'm sure I can squat already 300 kilo in sleeve, no belt, nothing. You know, my belt stay in my bag from the Arnold Classic from
Really?
last. Yes, I never opened this bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
still,
you're building your core and your grip strength more than ever.
yeah. Anyway, it's because it forced me to don't put too much weight.
Okay.
You know, then I don't put belt, and I train my grip a lot because, you know, I have few friends doing competition, and I have a good one, and I try to learn the tips, you know, for few different legs because it's very specific. But I like it, and we have fun, and just trying something new. I need goals. I have goals all my life, you know, because I was competitor, and still I need something. It's just why.
Yeah. And you talk about, you know, hopefully coming back to World's Strongest Man, and you say, you know, just being part of it again is most important to you. But looking, for example, the last couple of days, you must still believe that you can go to World's Strongest Man finals as well.
Yes, I always a chance, you know, because Stones was good for me. You know, with the events this year, it's great event. You know, I'm really good in throwing too.
Yeah.
You know, loading, deadlift. It's always deadlift now. It is perfect. But squat was also good for me. But you know, I remember how I lift. I'm almost sure how I pull now. I can do 7 barrels. You know, because it's not super heavy. That I do it many times in the past. I know exactly what it is. Then I know I have the chance, and if I can go again, but the level is still high because I think now you have 6 good guys in each group. Is the difference than what we have before. But of course, if I go there, I will want to try my best. And if I have to fight the stones, I will fight.
Yeah.
You know, I never lose a stone.
Would you say, I know obviously you had the terrible injury soon after, but if you just take a single event, your squat at the Arnold's, was that one of your kind of all-time favorite performances?
No, not really, because it was like it wasn't a max.
Okay.
I have 100 pounds more than the tank. You know, it's just because, okay, people talking a lot about that lift, true. But it was just because we never do it. It was always for reps. You know, it wasn't new for me to lift it. I can lift 966 at that time in sleep. You know, it's why I told that I was prepared for a lot more. I was thinking many 1,000 pounds will fall because the monolith and the block it's also easier with buffalo bar. It was very easy setup for me. And you know, it will be interesting to try in the future also. I can do a lot more, but I don't want to risk. But of course, if I know I will get injured the day after, I will put more on the bar, trust me. But the strategy was I want to finish on podium.
Yeah.
And at this moment, when I get injured, I'm fighting for
Yeah.
finish the podium.
Yeah.
And two very good events coming to me, and I was very disappointed. But it's working like that, you know. You just be smart, doing what you need to win the event, and you know, following. It's not about breaking records, but the only thing I'm disappointed about, I want to test my deadlift on that day. I think I was in the best shape in my life in March 5th, 2022 on deadlift.
Yeah.
Okay, I trained my squat, but what happened? When my squat at its best, my deadlift is also at its best. Because my leg was stronger, my back is always good. And I pull a little bit in the gym before preparing for that contest. And I was really strong. But I will never know what I can pull. But I think I was in the best shape in my life for deadlifting at that moment. Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, Jeff, it sounds like you're well on your way back. And
yeah, I will try, but I have few big numbers to put again. Trust me.
yeah, I trust you. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. Hey, I think that sums it up, Jeff. It's there's no one whose opinion I value more than yours in strongman, so it's always a pleasure to hear from you. I know it is for everyone watching too.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and
a pleasure.
I hope to see you somewhere soon again. We can have a drink and
yes, of course. Thank you for your time too, Matt, and we will see you together soon, I'm sure, because I know you're traveling everywhere in competition, but always a pleasure to talk with you, my friend.
Okay. See you soon, Jeff. Thanks again.
Thank you, man. Bye.